It is 800 hours on Monday, April 20th, 26. A diplomatic shockwave has just slammed into the ancient walls of Windsor Castle, and its aftershocks are already ripping across global headlines. What we are witnessing is what insiders are calling the Iron Curtain Protocol, a direct, lawful, and permanent break separating Prince Harry from the British royal family. But this goes far beyond a simple family dispute. This is a carefully calculated move by Prince William, set into motion by a secret handwritten note from the late Queen Elizabeth II, only now revealed. For years, the public believed the late monarch was simply disappointed. But newly uncovered evidence from the private archives of biographer Robert Hardman paints a far more precise and unsettling picture. The Queen did not see just a granddaughter-in-law. She identified a potential threat. Multiple senior palace insiders now confirm that the Queen privately used the word a narcissist when referring to Meghan Markle during confidential discussions with her closest advisors. This was no offhand remark. Within a constitutional monarchy, such language signals risk assessment. The Queen, who had dealt with the personalities of countless global leaders, recognized traits she believed could one day challenge the institution from within. It's the easiest way to stay updated on these unfolding historical revelations. And drop a comment with the word security if you think William is justified in defending the throne at any cost. To fully grasp the severity of the 2026 restraining order, we need to revisit the exact moment when trust began to fracture. It's often referred to as Tiara Gate, but the truth runs much deeper than a disagreement over jewelry. Picture the scene. Windsor Castle, early morning, May 2018. Prince Harry is on the phone, his voice carrying through the halls of the Royal Collection Trust. He is demanding immediate access to the Queen Mary Diamond Bandeau for a hair trial. According to accounts of the exchange, the confrontation turned intense. Harry reportedly raised his voice at the Queen's personal dresser, Angela Kelly, declaring, "What Meghan wants, Meghan gets." The Queen's response, however, was swift and decisive. When the matter reached her private study, she remained calm. Fixing Harry with a steady and yielding look, she said, "Harry, she will wear what she is given. This is not a toy." Those words became her final judgment on the Sussex's approach to royal duty. In that moment, she understood. They saw the crown not as a responsibility, but as something to shape around their personal brand. That incident activated what insiders refer to as Protocol 27, an internal red alert that quietly shifted Harry and Meghan from trusted insiders to potential security concerns. Fast forward to January 2026. Prince William has effectively become the primary decision maker as King Charles III focuses on ongoing health challenges. William has reviewed the trajectory of Harry's legal troubles, including high court records where witness Glenn Mulcair admitted that statements had been prepared to support a particular narrative. William's reasoning is straightforward. If legal systems can be influenced, then the monarchy itself could be vulnerable. The process of separation is already underway, unfolding in 3 clear phases. First, the complete termination of financial and security connections, finalized in 2025. Second, a formal review of the line of succession, now being debated within the House of Lords. And third, the restraining order, a firm legal boundary, not merely symbolic. Prince Harry has now been classified by the Royalty and VIP Protection Committee as a level 2 security concern, citing unpredictability and a history of sensitive information leaks. The contrast between the two brothers has never been clearer. While Meghan pushed for access to priceless crown jewels, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was known to rehearse using a simple 5-pound plastic tiara from a high street shop. One was preparing for duty. The other was preparing for appearance. But here's the development that has the palace on edge today. As William moves toward finalizing the legal split, a new figure has emerged on the High Court witness list, a former security officer who protected Catherine for more than a decade. This individual has presented what is being described as a critical document, According to reports, it suggests that the 2019 birth of Archie was surrounded by a deliberate misinformation effort, one that may have misled even the Metropolitan Police. So why would something as trivial as a 5-pound plastic tiara become the decisive piece of evidence in William's 2026 decision to permanently cut ties with his brother? Stay with us for the next dossier, where we will uncover what was actually contained on that tape. To understand why the Iron Curtain is descending over the House of Windsor today, we need to trace the trail of a psychological conflict that began 8 years ago. This isn't a sudden breakdown. It is the end result of a carefully documented pattern of manipulation. From our current position in April 2026, the warning signs are impossible to overlook. The first major fracture surfaced in May 2018, just days before the royal wedding. While the public witnessed what appeared to be a fairy tale behind the scenes at Kensington Palace, staff were dealing with what insiders later described as relentless pressure, primarily through a series of intense phone calls. Prince Harry was reportedly making repeated, high-pressure demands to Angela Kelly, the Queen's trusted guardian of royal jewelry. This wasn't simply a request for a tiara. It was an attempt to override established security procedures. According to palace insiders, Harry's behavior had shifted dramatically, driven by a sense of entitlement that placed him in direct conflict with long-serving staff members. This moment exposed a pattern that would later define the Sussex approach: push hard, apply pressure, and then claim victimhood when boundaries were enforced. 1 year later, on May 6, 2019, that pattern escalated beyond palace walls and to the realm of national security. The birth of Archie at Portland Hospital should have united the public and the institution. Instead, it became the center of a calculated misdirection. The Metropolitan Police had spent months preparing a detailed security and media strategy to ensure public safety. But in a surprising turn, the couple reportedly returned home before notifying the palace, which then released a statement claiming Meghan had only just gone into labor. The move left law enforcement caught off guard. Senior officers were said to have felt misled, even accusing the palace of providing inaccurate information. For security teams, this raised a serious concern: the possibility that personal public relations priorities were overriding coordinated safety operations. The full scope of this long-term strategy became clear to Queen Elizabeth II during the Sandringham Summit in January 2020. What was presented as a half-in, half-out arrangement was not viewed as compromise, but as a strategic maneuver. Later reviewed documents suggest that the relocation to California had been planned well in advance of those discussions. In that moment, the Queen recognized that her grandson was no longer acting within the framework of royal duty, but as part of an independent plan she had never approved. By September 2024, this pattern of behavior had finally been formally defined. Biographer Robert Hardman released what has since been referred to as the Narcissist dossier, revealing that senior royals had shifted their perspective from viewing the situation as a personal family conflict to treating it as a broader psychological concern. Prince William, in particular, began adopting clinical language during internal discussions, no longer referring to Harry in personal terms, but instead framing him as a potential security liability. This brings us to February 10th, 2026, at Adelaide Cottage. In what many interpret as the definitive end of reconciliation, William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly severed all direct communication channels. Encrypted messages, emails, letters, everything originating from Montecito was redirected to a designated legal team. Personal contact was eliminated entirely. Emotional leverage was removed from the equation. What remained was purely legal. Now we arrive at today, April 20th, 2026. The Iron Curtain is no longer symbolic. It represents a defensive barrier constructed over 8 years of recorded incidents and perceived betrayals. As the restraining order moves forward, a key question remains: What exactly was contained in those intercepted messages from February that convinced William to permanently block Harry from approaching Catherine and the children? The timeline suggests that Harry's final outreach included information so serious that it was interpreted not as reconciliation, but as a threat. We are now examining those legal filings in detail. The Iron Curtain Protocol, as it stands, is not driven by emotion. It is built on a foundation of institutional documentation. To fully grasp the magnitude of this 2026 separation, we need to examine what analysts refer to as the authority ladder, a hierarchy of official records that has elevated a private dispute into a matter of national concern. At the base of that structure lies a document never meant for public release, the Operational Diaries of Angela Kelly. As curator for the Royal Collection Trust, her logs provide a detailed, minute-by-minute account of the events surrounding Tiara Gate. These records do not describe a simple disagreement over attire. Instead, they outline a consistent effort to override the security systems protecting the royal collection, the institution responsible for safeguarding some of the world's most valuable historical artifacts. Internal reports from the trust highlight a striking contrast in behavior, one that has become central to William's legal argument. While Meghan Markle was allegedly pressing for immediate access to the Queen Mary diamond bandeau for a routine hair rehearsal, staff were being asked to bend established protocols during one of the busiest periods of the royal calendar, the Easter court. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was operating from an entirely different ethical framework. Internal household records confirm that during preparations for her wedding to Prince William, she conducted her hair rehearsals using a simple 5-pound plastic tiara from Claire's Accessories. This detail goes far beyond trivia. It has become a key exhibit in William's legal case, illustrating the contrast between service-driven responsibility and celebrity-style entitlement. It reflects a clear understanding of royal assets as part of a public trust, not personal property. Moving higher up what analysts call the authority ladder, we encounter operational reports from the Metropolitan Police Service regarding Archie's birth in 2019. These are not speculative headlines. They are formal security briefings. The documents outline what is described as a communication blackout initiated by the Sussexes, leaving police units unable to properly secure the perimeter of Portland Hospital. When the palace released a statement claiming Meghan had just gone into labor, hours after she had already returned home, it wasn't merely a media misdirection. It represented a breakdown in operational trust with law enforcement. According to those reports, officers felt their resources were being treated as part of a publicity strategy rather than as a serious protective force. By 2026, Prince William has consolidated these institutional concerns into a formal legal argument known as the "a loss of judgment clause." His position, presented to Duchy legal advisors, is that Prince Harry has repeatedly demonstrated an inability to separate personal brand building from constitutional duty. The claim asserts that his decision-making has been so heavily influenced by narcissistic dynamics that he can no longer be trusted with sensitive royal information. This brings us to the most critical level of the ladder: national security. William's argument extends further, suggesting that Harry's pattern of recording private royal interactions for commercial projects introduces a significant data breach risk. Every captured conversation, every disclosed detail creates a potential vulnerability within the royal security framework. In this role, William is no longer acting solely as a brother, but as a future custodian of the institution itself. The key question now is how this loss of judgment framework has translated into the financial and legal isolation Harry is currently experiencing. As discussions unfold within the Home Office today, a new and troubling detail has surfaced regarding his classification as a Level 2 threat. Investigators are now examining a specific trigger incident from just last week, an event that effectively made the 2026 restraining order unavoidable. As of this morning, April 20th, 26, the monarchy has shifted beyond passive silence. Prince William is now directing a structured containment strategy referred to in diplomatic terms as information quarantine. This approach applies an inside out, outside in doctrine, ensuring that no sensitive information exits the royal perimeter, while also preventing any external emotional influence from penetrating it. To understand why the restraining order is being finalized today, we need to break down the three-stage system currently in place to neutralize Sussex influence. The first stage is the supply cut. In high-level psychological strategy, individuals who rely on attention require constant emotional reinforcement. By February 2026, William ordered the complete removal of that reinforcement. This went far beyond blocking communication. The palace's security division, working alongside the Home Office, established a digital containment zone. Every message from Montecito, whether encrypted, written, or urgent, is automatically redirected to a specialized legal review team. Neither William nor Catherine, Princess of Wales, ever see these communications. This state-level gray rocking has effectively eliminated any emotional leverage that may have existed. Without a response from the palace, the Sussex narrative loses its ability to generate momentum, resulting in what insiders describe as strategic silence. The second stage is controlled fact disclosure. For years, the palace maintained a position of silence while the Sussexes shaped public perception. That strategy has now shifted. As of April 2026, the institution has moved to a proactive truth release model, allowing carefully verified records, such as the 2019 Metropolitan Police Service reports on Archie's birth, to enter the public domain through authorized biographers. This approach systematically dismantles the Sussex victim narrative. When evidence surfaces suggesting that law enforcement felt misled in 2019, claims of being denied security protection begin to lose both legal weight and public credibility. William is effectively using documented truth as a precise instrument to erode that narrative piece by piece. The third and final stage is the legal perimeter. This is where the restraining order becomes central. It is not driven by emotion or retaliation, but by institutional protection. According to the Royalty and VIP Protection Committee, the Sussex track record of recording private interactions for commercial use is now categorized as a direct operational risk. If Prince Harry were allowed access to private areas such as Adelaide Cottage, the likelihood of sensitive information being exposed is considered absolute. The restraining order, therefore, functions as a legal firewall, designed to protect the integrity and security of the monarchy at its core. This measure ensures that if Prince Harry attempts to enter without authorization, security personnel are immediately empowered to treat him as a trespasser, regardless of his royal status. The strategy is designed to trigger what analysts describe as a narcissistic collapse. By withdrawing all attention, the palace is effectively forcing the Sussexes into a corner, either fade from relevance or make a highly visible misstep. Prince William's reasoning is direct. The institution can endure a sudden fallout, but it cannot survive a prolonged internal decay driven by repeated breaches of trust. The barrier is now fully in place. The Iron Curtain has been sealed. However, a new development has just reached the palace's legal desk within the last 15 minutes. It concerns a questionable financial transaction tied to a private investigator operating in London, reportedly hired by a third party with close links to the Montecito Circle. The focus of this investigation raises serious alarm. Why is this individual targeting medical personnel who treated Catherine, Princess of Wales, earlier this year? The connection between this inquiry and the 2026 restraining order appears far more serious than initially believed. We are now analyzing the target list recovered from the investigators' files. As of this morning, April 20th, 26, the tone within the Estelle Circle, the inner group of senior royals and advisors, has shifted from controlled containment to a full-scale moral offensive. While public attention often centers on Meghan Markle, a critical shift has taken place behind palace walls. William no longer views his brother as someone being influenced. He now sees him as the central driver of the family's internal breakdown. This conclusion is rooted in what William describes as a betrayal of the working class values that underpin the modern monarchy. One of the most significant documents currently under review is what insiders are calling the Liverpool Docker dossier. It highlights the life story of Angela Kelly, the daughter of a Liverpool dock worker who rose through dedication and service to become one of the late Queen's most trusted aides. From William's perspective, Harry's confrontation with Kelly during the 2018 Tiara Gate incident was more than a moment of anger. It represented a prince using inherited privilege to pressure a working-class woman in service of personal ambitions tied to celebrity culture. According to reports, William has told close advisors that Harry's readiness to undermine the very staff who supported them for years, reportedly for media-driven narratives, signals a deeply compromised sense of judgment. Standing firmly alongside William is Princess Anne, often referred to as the monarchy's most uncompromising figure. She is said to be the leading force behind what is being called the "a departure is permanent" clause, a proposed legal framework that would redefine the Sussex exit not as temporary, but as a complete and irreversible separation. Anne's reasoning is precise. If individuals attempt to profit from the institution while simultaneously criticizing it, they forfeit the right to represent it in any official capacity. She has reportedly pushed for the Iron Curtain measures to include a comprehensive ban preventing Harry from using royal titles in any future commercial agreements, citing a violation of the fundamental oath of service. The impact of this unified stance within the Estelle Circle is now evident in a growing archive of internal complaints. Palace HR and legal teams have spent the past 6 months collecting detailed testimonies from staff who worked with the Sussex household between 2018 and 2020. This effort, referred to internally as a bullying dossier 2.0, extends beyond earlier allegations, documenting a pattern of behavior attributed not only to Meghan, but also to Harry himself. These records form a structured body of evidence, reinforcing William's legal position by establishing a consistent pattern of hostility. In effect, this dossier serves as another rung on the authority ladder, supporting the restraining order as a necessary measure to protect current royal staff. Meanwhile, the circle surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, remains tightly controlled. While she has made no public statements, her actions are reflected in the administrative restructuring at Adelaide Cottage. Any staff member with even indirect past connections to Montecito has either been reassigned or subjected to strict non-disclosure reviews. The focus has shifted entirely from reconciliation to safeguarding the perimeter. Yet, as evening falls over Windsor, another troubling report has surfaced. A former member of the Sussex security team was reportedly seen near the children's school earlier today, raising immediate concerns. Whether this was an isolated lapse or an intentional signal from Montecito remains unclear, but the implications are serious. The link between this sighting and the permanent severance clause could soon trigger a major legal escalation. At this moment, the final framework for Harry's long-term exclusion is actively being drafted. As we approach the closing hours of this April 20th, 2026 breaking news cycle, the Estelle Circle within Windsor has reached a unified position, with the Narcissist assessment attributed to Queen Elizabeth II now formally recorded in the royal archives. The monarchy has moved beyond a defensive stance and into decisive action. What we are now examining is a scenario framework outlining the potential endgame for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, based on current legal developments at the Home Office and proceedings within the High Court, 3 possible outcomes are emerging for the weeks ahead. The first scenario, often referred to by insiders as the prodigal return, carries roughly a 10% likelihood. In this version, Prince Harry acknowledges the manipulative dynamics once identified by Queen Elizabeth II and chooses to return to the United Kingdom alone, seeking structured psychological rehabilitation. However, sources close to Adelaide Cottage indicate that Prince William has already dismissed this possibility. From his perspective, the issue is no longer repairable. Trust hasn't just been damaged, it has been completely destroyed. Any return, even one framed as remorseful, is viewed as a potential gateway for further breaches. The second scenario, estimated at a 30% probability, is being described as a high court collapse. In this path, Harry continues his legal battles against segments of the British press, but the integrity of those cases begins to unravel. Key witnesses, including Glenn Mulcair, have reportedly acknowledged that statements were prepared in advance to support specific narratives. The legal analysts expect the judiciary to move toward a summary dismissal, which could leave Harry not only unsuccessful in court, but also exposed to significant counterclaims for procedural misconduct. This outcome would severely weaken the Sussex position, financially and legally, effectively ending their public campaign through judicial force. The third and most probable outcome, holding an estimated 60% likelihood, is what insiders are calling the Iron Curtain Decree. Reports suggest that Prince William is preparing to take an unprecedented step, publicly formalizing the restraining order and declaring Harry persona non grata on the upcoming birthday of King Charles III. Such a move would transform internal protocol into official policy, effectively codifying the late Queen's assessment into a lasting institutional stamp. Under this framework, Harry would be legally excluded from all royal functions, residences, and ceremonial roles, removing his presence from the monarchy's future entirely. Yet, as we close this developing report, a striking revelation from the latest findings of Robert Hardman has unsettled observers within the palace press. According to Hardman, the Queen did not simply observe Meghan. She anticipated the timeline of the couple's move to California during their very first private meeting at Buckingham Palace. Even more startling is the claim that the Queen left behind a sealed directive within her private will. One that is legally required to remain unopened until the moment Prince William ascends the throne. This document is rumored to include a specific hereditary clause concerning the Sussex lineage, a detail that has allegedly prompted extensive legal efforts to keep it out of public view. What exactly did the Queen uncover about the Sussex long-term strategy that led her to take such a precautionary step? And why is the issue of royal bloodline integrity reportedly creating such urgency in Montecito tonight? If you want early access to our full breakdown of that sealed ultimatum, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. We're working towards 700,000 subscribers to continue delivering independent coverage free from institutional pressure and external influence. Hit the like button and comment truth below if you're ready for the final revelation. The Iron Curtain is descending, and we're documenting every moment. Stay tuned.